Hi, very good morning. I'm Dr. Janak Patel, MD physician. I'm not a cardiologist. Now we are discussing the among congenital heart disease, Eisenmenger, meaning whenever the shunt, particularly left to right shunt, stops or there is a biventricular shunt, bidirectional, sorry, not biventricular, bidirectional, means blood is flowing from left to right as well as from right to left. Then that stage we call as Eisenmenger syndrome. So whenever a pulmonary vasculature develops an obstructive element and as a consequences of this large pre-existing left to right shunt, pulmonary arterial pressure approaches the systemic level and the direction of the flow becomes bidirectional or reverses right to left, then that stage is called Eisenmenger. So in Eisenmenger, the pulmonary hypertension with a reversal of left to right shunt becomes now right to left shunt, and secondary due to this, deoxygenated blood from right side is entering onto the left side, resulting into central cyanosis, hypoxia, polycythemia, and symptom signs of congestive cardiac failure. This is irreversible condition because there is an irreversible rise in pulmonary vascular resistance leading to severe pulmonary hypertension. We call systemic pulmonary hypertension, and then there is a reversal of the shunt or bidirectional shunt flow. That stage we call as Eisenmenger syndrome. So to start with, it is a right to left shunt, and then you get pulmonary vascular changes, pulmonary vascular hypertension. Pulmonary hypertension becomes equal to systemic pressure, and then there is shunt stops or it is a bidirectional flow. Further elevation of pulmonary pressure, now it is reversal of the shunt, resulting into deoxy blood from right side entering onto the left side, producing central cyanosis, hypoxia, clubbing, polycythemia, and symptom signs of congestive cardiac failure. Etiology wise, very commonly it is found in VSD, ASD, and PD. Almost 70 to 80% of the case will be in these three conditions: ASD, VSD, and PD. Other condition which can also produce Eisenmenger is truncus arteriosus, aortopulmonary window, single ventricle without pulmonary stenosis, transposition of great vessels with VSD, surgically created aortopulmonary connections, etc., can be associated with Eisenmenger. But by and large, majority of them are secondary to VSD, ASD, and PDA. So common left to right shunt, we already mentioned ASD, VSD, and PDA. And some of the odd conditions, aortopulmonary window, truncus arteriosus, pulmonary atresia with a large aortopulmonary collaterals can end up with Eisenmenger. We already mentioned regarding VSD, PDA, and ASD. Risks for Eisenmenger syndromes, which can further aggravated by pregnancy, general anesthesia, dehydration, hemorrhage, cardiac and non-cardiac surgery, drugs like vasodilators, diuretic, oral contraceptive pills, NSAID, anemia, particularly iron deficiency anemia, air embolism, infections, high altitude, pulmonary infection can precipitate or worsen Eisenmenger. What exactly is happening? We have already mentioned before. Because of left to right shunt, there is an increased blood flow on the right side, increased blood flow into pulmonary vasculature. Because of increased blood flow in the pulmonary vasculature, there is an increased pulmonary congestion, repeated respiratory tract infections, leading to endothelial dysfunction. There is a change in the endothelium, hypertrophy of media, progressive arterial and capillary occlusion, further leading to increased pulmonary vascular resistance, pulmonary hypertension. Slowly the pulmonary hypertension gets elevated parallel to systemic pressure. Now shunt will stop or may become bidirectional. Further vascular changes, further increase in pulmonary pressure. Now pulmonary pressure becomes more than that of systemic. Now shunt will reverse back. Blood will flow from deoxy, that is right side, either from right atrium or from left right ventricle or from pulmonary artery into systemic circulation. That is in case of ASD from RA to LA, in case of VSD from LV to or from RV to LV, and in case of PDA from pulmonary artery into aorta, leading to hypoxia, cyanosis, clubbing, polycythemia, hyperviscosity syndrome, as well as because of right ventricular pressure elevation, right atrial pressure elevation, symptom signs of congestive cardiac failure. This is described as Eisenmenger. So irreversible pulmonary arterial hypertension will take place. Pressure in the right ventricle will increase. Now shunt will reverse back, or shunt may be bidirectional. There will be persistent cyanosis, and person will also have a symptom signs of congestive heart failure. This is picture showing you in early stages, mid stage, late stage, what is happening in a pulmonary artery, and in the end stage, what happens. Secondary to Eisenmenger syndrome, there is a polycythemia, and that polycythemia will result into hyperviscosity. There will be very high chance of cerebrovascular accident, chances of hemoptysis, renal dysfunction because of hypotension, decreased renal blood flow. Secondary to polycythemia, hyperuricemia and gout, there is a high chance of hypertrophic osteoarthropathy. There is a very high chance of cholelithiasis, particularly pigmentary gallstones formation, and you can have a hemostatic abnormalities. We already told you all these things. Person will have a high chance of congestive heart failure, arrhythmia because of atrial flutter fibrillation, chances of bleeding disorders, paradoxical embolization, brain abscess, erythrocytosis we call as a secondary polycythemia, which can end up with hyperuricemia and gout, high chance of infective endocarditis, paradoxical embolization, pulmonary artery calcification, aneurysm formation, and can end up with even progressive valvular disease, renal dysfunction, stroke, TIA, and person can die, sudden death. To start with, it will be left to right shunt. Later on it becomes reversal of the shunt leading to cyanosis, which will be central cyanosis, and in case of PDA it will be differential cyanosis. Both lower limb will be cyanotic, and in case of a pre-subclavian PDA, once the reversal takes place, left upper limb and two lower limb will have a cyanosis. Because of congestive cardiac failure, there will be low cardiac output, exertional dyspnea, fatigue, syncopal episodes. Even person can develop orthopnea, paroxysmal nocturnal dyspnea, and also can have a peripheral edema secondary due to elevated pressure in inferior vena cava. Secondary to hyperviscosity, decreased blood flow to brain will lead to headache, dizziness, and may even develop strokes. Hemoptysis, arthralgia, gout, renal dysfunctions will be also associated along with reversal of the shunt. So because of increased pulmonary blood flow, decreased oxygenation, impaired exercise tolerance, and because of decreased systemic vascular resistance, increase in right to left shunt, increased chance of cyanosis, and because of decreased systemic vascular resistance, there will be syncopal episodes. I've already explained this particular part regarding Eisenmenger syndrome leading to hyperviscosity and other complications. Because of pulmonary hypertension, breathlessness, fatigue, lethargy, chest pain, pre-syncope, and person can also have a syncopal episodes. Secondary to heart failure, exertional dyspnea, orthopnea, PND, edema, ascites. Secondary to increased RBC count, polycythemia, myalgia, anorexia, lassitude, fatigue, paresthesia, tinnitus, blurred vision, headache, slow mental functions, signs of hypoxia, decreased alertness, even person can have stroke, bleeding tendency, particularly epistaxis, menorrhagia, pulmonary bleeding, mild mucocutaneous bleedings, biliary colic, cholelithiasis, which can produce right upper quadrant pain. Secondary to cholelithiasis, cholecystitis producing fever, jaundice can occur. Nephrolithiasis can also occur secondary due to gout. Renal colic, and gout can also involve joint, and you can have acute inflammation of joints. Vasodilatation can produce pre-syncope and syncope. Paradoxical embolization can end up with embolization in systemic circulation as well as into lung, pulmonary. Hypertrophic osteodystrophy can be also one of the part of the symptoms, and retinal complication can also occur. These are all the picture you can come across in Eisenmenger. In a cardiovascular, we have already told you JVP will be elevated. There will be differential cyanosis in reversal of the shunt with PDA, not in case of ASD and VSD. P2 will be loud. You will have a high pitch early diastolic murmur because of a pulmonary insufficiency. Right sided fourth heart sound. Pulmonary click can be heard. S2 will be split. You can have a pansystolic murmur of tricuspid regurgitation. Continuous murmur of PDA will disappear, and short systolic murmur may come back. You can have a different findings. Jaundice, paradoxical embolization can produce focal ischemia, gangrene, even stroke. Hypertrophic osteodystrophy, etc. can be seen. Easy bruising can be also seen. This is showing you clubbing with cyanosis. By and large, the rate of survival with Eisenmenger 10-year survival is 80%, 15 years is 77, and 25 years you can see that as the advances it becomes less. A large VSD and a large ASD you will have early changes. Also in case of a large PDA you will have early changes. Prognosis is usually poor and they die secondarily, very commonly because of right side failure, severe hypoxia, and complications secondary due to polycythemia. We have already mentioned regarding a risk factor in Eisenmenger. The cause of death mainly because of congestive heart failure, massive hemoptysis, and some person can have a sudden cardiac death. As far as investigation is concerned, a past history is very useful. ECG will show you RAE, RVH, cardiac arrhythmias. You will also have a biventricular hypertrophy. Chest X-ray will show you cardiomegaly with pulmonary artery calcification, dilated pulmonary artery, bilateral pleural effusion. Echocardiography will show you the type of defect, direction of shunt, severity of pulmonary hypertension, etc. And cardiac catheterization will give you the entire idea regarding the pressure changes and direction of the blood flow. Very rarely you require an open lung biopsy to find out the severity of the pulmonary arterial changes and histopathological staging. CBC will show you increased RBC count, increased hematocrit. MCV will be elevated. Mean corpuscular hemoglobin may be reduced. Red cell mass is increased. Iron study will show you in favor of iron deficiency anemia. Uric acid level will be elevated. Blood urea creatinine will be elevated. Increase in bilirubin may be there, secondary due to cholecystitis and obstructive jaundice, secondary due to gallstones. Urine analysis may show you proteinuria, secondary due to renal damage. And ABG study will show you hypoxia with hypercapnia. And there will be right to left shunt. You can have a mixed respiratory and metabolic acidosis. Metabolic acidosis is because of hypotension producing lactic acid acidosis. And as far as the respiratory is concerned, depending upon the respiratory stage, you will have a respiratory, by and large, PCO2 will be high, so it will produce respiratory acidosis. But whenever there is a tachypnea, person can develop respiratory alkalosis. So common X-ray finding RVH, RA, and you can have even LV, biventricular, dilatation of pulmonary artery. This finding will be seen very frequently in a X-ray chest. ECG, we have already told you, tall R wave in V1 showing you RVH. You can have a BVH signs, pulmonary P pulmonal, and even you can have a atrial arrhythmias. STT changes may be seen. You can see clearly in V1 and AVR, R wave is tall, BVH findings. You can see the persistence of S wave. So P pulmonal, BVH will be more in favor. Echo will give you a good answer regarding RVH, RV pressure, valvular structures, type of shunt, direction of the shunt, severity of the shunt, elevated right ventricular systolic pressure, etc. All can be easily diagnosed by transthoracic or transesophageal echo. Cardiac catheterization will be helpful. It will give you all pressure studies much better than echo. CT angio will be helpful to find out the condition of pulmonary blood vessels. You can also have MRI angio. VQ scan can give you idea regarding the severity of the lung involvement. Measuring a peripheral vascular resistance or pulmonary vascular resistance will also help to identify the severity of the pulmonary vasculature involvement. These are all the different conditions which can also involve the lung and can mimic like what we call as severe pulmonary hypertension. Once you confirm the diagnosis, you have to avoid the risk factors, maintain. Main intervention is towards preventing complication and restore physiological balance. You can go for phlebotomy in case of a hyperviscosity syndrome unless a person has got iron deficiency anemia. Hypovolemia should be avoided. Non-cardiac surgery by and large should be done by local or spinal anesthesia. Hemoptysis will require a treatment if there is a pulmonary infarct. Prophylactic vaccination for influenza and pneumonia should be given. If a person has developed an arrhythmia like atrial flutter fibrillation, antiarrhythmic drugs or cardioversions should be done. Salt restriction, restriction of steroids, NSAID, etc. should be done. To prevent infective endocarditis, prophylaxis can be given. And last resort is heart-lung transplant. So this is a chart showing you all the different procedures, what you can go for. That once you suspect clinically and if there is a cyanosis clubbing and person has got symptom signs of congestive cardiac failure, now go for echo, find out the pulmonary hypertension and whether the shunt is reversed or it is a bidirectional shunt. You can reconfirm by catheter. If it is yes, answer is yes, go for corrective procedures as early as possible. If answer is no, then general advice, avoid dehydration, less salt intake, avoid exercise, dental hygiene, infective endocarditis prophylaxis, contraception in female, etc. If there is a clinical picture of congestive cardiac failure, digoxin, diuretic and ACE inhibitor. If hematocrit is high, go for phlebotomy to reduce the symptom signs of hyperviscosity. To reduce pulmonary pressure, you can go for prostaglandins inhibitors and try to have a regular follow-up. If person deteriorates, you should go for corrective procedures and then for what we call as a heart-lung transplant. These are all what we have already mentioned to reduce risk factors. Avoid dehydration, avoid extra salt intake, NSAID, steroids, avoid high altitude, avoid severe exercise, infective endocarditis prophylaxis. Hemoptysis should be treated as early as possible. Contraception in female, etc. Regular follow-up even if the person is asymptomatic. And if there is a failure, digoxin, diuretic, and you can think of using ACE inhibitor. Oxygen therapy is useful. Prostacyclin analogs is also useful. Endothelial receptor antagonist is also useful to reduce pulmonary pressure. All these are being utilized. PDE inhibitors are also utilized. CCB and ACE inhibitors, doubtful. Think it over. Always try to look for the contraindication. As far as we already told you regarding hyperviscosity, phlebotomy, iron supplement, etc. can be tried. So these are all the things. Oxygen therapy, we already mentioned all these things. Complications, most common complication, congestive cardiac failure, cardiac arrhythmia like atrial flutter fibrillation, thromboembolic phenomena, infective endocarditis, paradoxical embolization, bleeding disorders, brain abscess, hyperuricemia and gout, infective endocarditis, pulmonary artery calcification and aneurysm formation, progressive valvular involvement, renal dysfunction, stroke, etc., and sudden cardiac death. These are the complications. We have already shown you a slide before, secondary to Eisenmenger. So I end my lecture here. I hope this will be helpful to you. So this is all congenital heart disease, cyanotic or cyanotic heart disease we have done. I might have skipped over obstructive valvular heart disease, which are some of those valvular heart disease are congenital, because we'll be dealing with those in valvular heart disease secondary due to rheumatic fever. So I end my lecture here.